If you ask people, what's something that clearly should not be privatized, many people would answer, well, the public square, like a public park. Parks need to be open to everyone, and ideally there shouldn't be an admission fee, though I suppose it's okay that Yellowstone Park charges user fees. It's about $20 to camp there, $25 to drive your car in. But there's little doubt that a park is something that ought to be open to the public and therefore run by a government, national or local. Except entrepreneur Dan Biederman says it's silly to think that way, and he should know because he converts government parks into privately managed ones. So how did you come up with this idea?
Well, we took over Bryant Park, John, when it was a disaster, and the things...
Here in Manhattan, not far from this studio.
They're now very visible to everybody because they come from other cities and visit. Government had allowed very dangerous conditions to govern it, and there was graffiti and urine and everything was broken. So it seemed like there needed to be a plan, and then the last thing that needed to be done is we needed to pay market prices for everything. And the private sector is used to paying market prices. That's
market prices as opposed to paying less?
Government prices. On the expense side, the government employees are so expensive that one of the reasons, for example, that in Manhattan you don't have litter picked up during the day is it's too expensive to do that with government employees.
You found government pays above market prices and gets below market service for it.
So government guarantees that everything's going to be too expensive for it. So when you hear government doesn't have any money anymore, it's partly a self-imposed condition.
All right, but let's back up. So there's this horrible park. It's dangerous, it's dirty, it's not maintained. And you go around and said, hey, businesses, wouldn't you like a nicer park? Give me some money?
Exactly. We started with charitable contributions from these businesses and from the Rockefellers, and eventually came up with a revenue scheme where all the money, paying a budget 100 times as much as there was in place at that time, would come from private business deals, not from government. We haven't taken a cent of tax money since 1997.
And the park is nice.
Yeah, that's what everybody tells me. I get a lot of tearful letters saying, hadn't been here in 25 years, and we're so thrilled that Bryant Park is something we can use again.
All right, but you get opposition from the left, the Huffington Post commentary, whatever positives might have been evident in Bryant Park, the result 20 years later is a corporate playground. And you do have these booths, people sell stuff, people advertise stuff. That's not public. It's not a public park. It's a Dan Biederman Park.
Only rarely do we have anything commercial, and that's to give us enough money to do all the things that are enjoyed by the public. The park is completely free. All the hundreds of events we run there are free. And the market you allude to is something the public loves in the winters. They don't have to buy. They can go to the ice rink, which is free. It's a revenue scheme that allows the park to operate free of the ups and downs of government money. So we keep the corporate messages toned down. Our design department makes sure that's the case. So there aren't big billboards saying...
But you have to do that. It's just the price you have to pay.
A little bit. Google sponsored the Wi-Fi, so we gave them 8.5 by 11 porcelain signs in 4 places in the park saying, you want Wi-Fi? Google paid for it.
Now that you have this great success with Bryant Park, even the city is trying to get other people to partially privatize some other parks, and this was called a fascist corporate takeover.
There's a kind of cartoonish view of private financing of parks that I think is hurting the park department's efforts to do the right things in Washington Square.
People just hate this idea. It's money.
There are sections of the country, large sections, where this is a very popular idea. Here we had to struggle with a political environment, but we did a park in Dallas where I started into my routine about why it should be privatized, and they cut me off and said, we already decided this before you got in the room. Don't have to persuade us. We're the choir.
You did Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And you planned a park in Newark. You're still working in Boston. The Dallas park goes over what used to be a highway.
Yeah, this is a beauty. It's incredibly popular. And as with Bryant Park, by the way, this idea of corporate playground, whatever, the average income in Bryant Park, we've done surveys, about $55,000 a year. So this is hardly a playground for executives. Same thing in Dallas.
What else should be privatized?
Mass transit, first thing. I always laugh. 100 smart people have said to me over the last 10 years, well, of course, mass transit can never break even. It's hopeless. So I always say, it can't break even under government rules, because if you're going to pay 3 times the market price for wages, and you're not going to collect from things other than taxes and the fare box.
Wait, so they pay 3 times the market price for wages?
I heard from a little bird that Metro North's flagmen are in the 140 range straight salary, and they're conductors. So the public doesn't know this, but part of the problem with mass transit not operating at a balance is that the wages and benefits are so high when run by the public.
And people don't know that the trains, the subways, were built mostly by private companies who made a profit at first until government took it over. Thank you, Dan Biederman.